Hello everybody, and welcome to a deep dive into Xenosaga 2. Settle in, grab your giant robot-sized cup of coffee, because we're diving in head first into this glorious and, let's be honest, slightly bewildering world of the episode 2. Now, if you're a fan of Nietzsche, giant mechs, and storylines that make your brain go crazy, you're in the right place. This is where we'll be excavating the digital past of probably one of the most epic JRPGs and one of my all-time favorites. Um, we're strapping into our ES units for a look at a game that dared to be different, much to mixed reaction at the time of launch and even to this day. First off, the title, which I find hard to pronounce, but Je suis Pangu Unbase. Now, that is pronounced Jenseits von Gut und Böse, as far as I can make that out. Sounds fancy. It's German for Beyond Good and Evil, a nod to Nietzsche. So, right from the get-go, the game wasn't planning on being a lighthearted romp. It's the second part of a planned 6-part series, saga, that, spoiler alert, got condensed into a trilogy. But it still is fantastic. Ambition. Gotta love it. This series had it in spades, and its predecessor, Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Villa Sormacht, I believe, if I remember how to pronounce that correctly, set a pretty high bar for philosophical ponderings. So who was steering this massive opera? Well, Monolith Soft developed it, and Namco published it back in 2004 in Japan, and then North America and Europe, I believe it's 2005. Yeah, about a year later. But here's where things get a little spicy. The creative leadership did a bit of a shuffle at the time. Series creator Tetsuya Takahashi, who directed Episode 1, took on a supervisory role for Episode 2. Basically tended to be guiding spirit. While Ku Arai, I believe that's right, Ku Arai, or Ko Arai, potentially stepped in as the new director. Arai's job to unify the teams and get this interpretation of Takahashi's extraordinary complex mission. The scenario was mainly penned by Norihiko Yonesaka. I'm trying to remember these names, but I've also got some details on paper, so forgive me. They were working with the original draft by Takahashi and Soraya Saga. Right. Now, Saga is a big name from Xenogears in Episode 1. Had her role significantly changed, and some of her proposed ideas were reportedly rejected by the new director. The whole shakeup was intentional. They wanted to, quote-unquote, refresh the series. Hagiwara, a producer on the game, even said he preferred a constantly evolving Xenosaga. Well, it evolved, but rather it was into a beautiful butterfly or a slightly confused moth. I guess the jury's still out for some. Personally, I see it as a beautiful butterfly with defective coloring in some regard. Alright, so how about we get visual? So there's the art style. And man, what an art style. If Episode 1 was your favorite anime, Episode 2 was like its slightly uncanny valley cousin who insists on quote-unquote realism. Kunihiko Tanaka, the original character designer, was credited with character illustration. This time, a subtle but perhaps telling shift. The characters got more polygons, more texture. In one IGN review, they hilariously put it, Shion Uzuki was injected with ye olde babe serum. Cosmos, our favorite battle android, also got a redesign. Partly, if I remember right, because marketing wanted her to be more realistic. I think they also wanted her more out front and center. I guess they felt that was the way to go. One of the designers, Koichi Mugatani, if I pronounced that right, Koichi Mogatani, I did get that, nailed it. Also known as Chaco, pronounced Choco, even mentioned he had reservations about making Cosmos' manga-style proportions. So, obviously if you looked at it, the characters were different. If they looked different, they were different. You weren't alone. I overall, generally, from my perspective, it did feel like a different game visually when you look at it. It didn't exactly change the game for me at all. I mean, I kind of dug it because there were more polygons, obviously, so everything looked a lot smoother. It seemed like they knew how to work with the PS2 hardware a lot better. So overall, I enjoyed it. But it was a choice. It was a choice for them. They wanted to make it look better, and they did in a lot of regards. But I think for some people, it probably wasn't a good thing. Now, let's talk about the ES units. They're anima relic weapons. They were a big new thing. Designers like Junya Ishigaki, gotcha, Koichi Mugatani, Choco, and Takashi Yanase and Hideyuki Masamuto were behind the mechanical marvels. Mugatani actually said Cosmos was used as a visual anchor to introduce these new ES mechs, a familiar face to ease us into the new robot goodness. Fairly smart marketing. And I guess they knew the new mechs needed a popular friend. I don't know, you decide on that one. The soundscape, so the music for episode 2. It was a tag team effort. You had the legendary Yuki Kajiura handle the dramatic cinematic cutscene music, and boy were the cutscenes epic. Those tracks are largely fantastic and make up most of the official soundtrack releases. Then you had Shinji Hoso. They composed the in-game field and battle music. Man, that battle music. God, I put the battle music right up there with Final Fantasy VIII. I know some people may disagree. The battle music for Final Fantasy VIII is fantastic. But episode 2, that's where it grabbed me. Episode 1 was good, but episode 2 it sounded more crisp, but I guess you can expect that in a latter part of the series. Um, Kajiura and Hoso worked completely separate. They never even met during production. I guess that explains why some of Hoso's tracks, say One Piece was criticized for its rather interesting placement in a dramatic scene. I don't remember this detail in the game, but I'm pretty sure if I saw it, I'd probably still like it. But picture a tense moment, then sitcom music, I guess, from what I'm reading here. Um, Ayoko Sasso also chipped in with some music and sound design, so I guess a bit of a lesser credit there. If you wanted the soundtrack, you have a couple options. There's the Xenosaga 2 movie scene soundtrack, which was a 2-disc epit of Kajiura's work. And then if you bought the Brady Game Strategy Guide, which I have but lost, the soundtrack, it was a 11-track CD promotional. It was mostly Kajiura. Shinji Hoso and man, I'm so bad with names. Ayoko Sasso, though, their in-game stuff largely never got a comprehensive official release. It's like being the rhythm guitarist in a band with a superstar lead singer. Or, probably one of the best analogies I can guess. Now, life after episode 2 for the main crew, how did these characters pop up next? Cosmos. She is, let's be honest, the undisputed queen of Xenosaga cameos. She's in all the Xenosaga games, obviously, the anime, and then she just starts showing up everywhere. Namco X Capcom, there was Super Tyson Saga, I believe, Project X Zone 1 and 2, and she was a rare blade in Xeno. What was it? I think it was on Wii or Wii U. I could be wrong on the platform. It was Xenoblade 2. Yeah, Xenoblade 2. She even had character customization in Soul Calibur 3. She's basically the Samuel L. Jackson of JRPG characters. She's in everything. I never got to see the costumes for Soul Calibur 3. And so that would be really cool. I'll have to look that up. So there's Shion too. Now she appears across the Xenosaga series, obviously, and its anime adaptation. Her presence outside of that is a bit more subtle. There's an NPC in Xenoblade 2, I believe, who's a bit of a nod to Shion, if I read right. Glasses and admiration for Cosmos. So she's more action hero cameo, more Easter egg. Oh, less action hero cameo, more Easter egg. Then there's Junior, or Rubedo, pronounced Rubedo. Um, the URTV. He's a mainstay in the Xenosaga series and related media. His design is a deliberate callback to Billy Lee Black from Xenogears. Now that I didn't know. That's really cool. Now, for the record, I never got to beat Xenogears, but I do remember playing it for a good while, and it was a good game. Regularly, initially launched on PlayStation 1. So, dual disc, 2 or 3 discs, I believe. But I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. Momo, um, the Realian. She's in the main games, obviously, the anime, and also got to stretch her legs in Namco X Capcom. She was also, I believe, a part of the Super Tyson Saga, although another part of it. Not exactly Cosmos levels of fame, but still solid resume. Okay, so you're playing this complex beast of a game, right? And you're stuck. Now, me, back in the day, I used to turn to strategy guides. Back before the game facts came out, um, the FAQS, you can look them up on your phone. I guess I'm old that way. So I had to buy strategy guides. Now, Brady Games was the big name here in North America. They had several editions. Standard edition, which was 200 pages of pure guidance written by David Cassidy. But to me, the real prize was the limited edition strategy guide, which I have. This bad boy, it comes with the 11-track soundtrack, the two-sided fold-out poster with the character skill info, a special cover, and extra artwork. Fantastic collector's item. It was a smart move for me, bundling the Kajiura music to sweeten the deal. Of course, sadly, I lost that disc, and I need to get another copy of it. Now, they had everything, obviously. Walkthroughs, boss tactics, side quest info, data on your AMWS mechs, and even a full-color fold-out of the character's skill tree. Because nothing says fun like meticulously planning skill trees. I planned, but honestly, I never really, like, went full into detail on that. Although, there were some people that did, and it amazed me how people could do that. I've just never been good at it. But, how did Xenosaga 2 actually do at the time of release? Critically, it landed a Metacritic score of 73, mixed or average. About half the reviews were positive, half were mixed, and one brave soul went negative. Users felt similarly, giving it a 7.4 out of 10. Um, Big complaints look to have been the revamped battle system. It looked to be love or hate. It was often described as complicated or slow. I can agree to some regard. The new character designs and the English voice cast changes. Shion and Cosmos got new voices, much to some fans' dismay, but there were also hot topics. So the load times before battles, let's just say you can make a sandwich. Now that, let's be honest, PS2, that was fairly average, although obviously this was longer than average. It was a thing back in the day because it had to load data from the disk on into the system. And it took a bit because these were standard DVD format, you know. Of course, PlayStation 1 was CD format. This one's DVD, and when you compare it to today's standards with Blu-ray and SSD, yeah, it's definitely an issue. But it wasn't, all doom and gloom. The story was engaging. Graphical updates and character models were noted. And if you could get your head around the battle system, some found it deep and strategic. And of course, Kashiura's music generally got a big thumbs up and critical acclaim. So sales-wise, it started strong, but ultimately it didn't hit Namco's targets. It sold significantly less than Episode 1. Honestly, no surprise to me. Some blame the battle system or the stigma of Episode 1 to marathon cutscenes, which I love. I don't get... No, I guess I get where people come from because they obviously just want to play a game. They don't want to watch a movie. But man, I love it. I've always loved it. If you want to give me more cutscenes in an RPG like Xenosaga, Final Fantasy, so on and so forth, just do it. Pump it into my veins. Just hook it up. But others also thought Episode 1 just didn't hook enough people to guarantee a massive sequel audience. The Xenosaga series, it wasn't really appeal to the general gaming public, in my opinion. RPGs can do that, especially Japanese RPGs that go deep and hardcore as Xenosaga did, when it comes to the overall message and vibe of the game. And I'm not talking mechanics or battle system, I mean the story, and how involved it can be. So it can be confusing. I've experienced that. It can be confusing, much like the Kingdom Hearts series. And I know I'll probably have some comments like, dude, it's not confusing, it's deep. I was like, no, I get it, I really do. But the way the tapestry is woven throughout that lore, throughout the games, there are times when it's hard to keep up. So, just saying, I've made comment on that in past streams. And don't get me started on Kingdom Hearts 3 and the lack of Final Fantasy characters. I won't go there right now. Maybe later. The underperformance and mixed reception, it likely cemented the decision to wrap things up in a trilogy, sadly, rather than the originally planned 6-episode epic. So, Xenosaga Episode 2. It took risks. It divided fans. It works out your... It's a title. Even I have trouble with it, although, I'm not good with foreign pronunciation. I wish I was. But it's a workout for your tongue. It's a crucial, if rocky, step in the Xenosaga series, pushing characters like Junior and Albedo into the spotlight and giving us those cool ES mechs. It's a fascinating look at sequel development, trying to innovate, respond to feedback, and not accidentally throw the baby out with the bathwater. Monolith was clearly figuring things out and had a bunch of trial and errors, as one source put it. Xenosaga probably paved the way for their later successes with the Xenoblade Chronicles. It's a complex legacy for a complex game, like I said earlier. But hey, that's why we're here, right? To talk about it. And the impact it had is still amazing. I mean, obviously episode 1 was better received. But to me, each Xenosaga, excuse me, Xenosaga, is good and equal to its own right. So, anyway. Well, that's all for this episode, y'all. Be sure to check out the other episodes on here if you're enjoying them. The podcast, the way it's set up is I have NPC hosts who I can't engage with due to how things are set up, but they are a back and forth, and it's pretty entertaining. You might hear a couple of sound artifacts here and there regarding their banter, but it's, I do that to better help me host this series and kind of get it up and going as a side hobby here on the channel, which has always been a mixed bag of content. So next time we'll be diving into Xenosaga 3, and there's also, as of this recording, going to be coming up on Xenosaga 1, which is weird that I'm doing it this way. Xenosaga 1 or Xenosaga 2 before Xenosaga 1. That'll be NPC host, and then I believe after this one as well, there's a Vector Man with the NPC host. So thanks for joining me. Stay safe, stay sane. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. And at some other point, too, we'll get to part 2 on this, and we'll talk more about the voice cast, some more of the, maybe some of the media marketing, and we'll go from there. See ya.